Got Therapy here at Columbus State Television.
Hey, the lights are on.
And the lights are on. So today we
don't normally do that.
You know, I'm not sure what you just said. Okay.
Well, are the lights normally on like this?
And here we are
They
in
are?
the show. Yes, we have a few little
I guess I'm tired.
mishaps there.
Oh.
But all right, we're ready. So let's start this show. So welcome to your show. This is Got Therapy. Dan Rhodes, the director of the Counseling Center at Columbus State University. And today we want to talk a little bit about a topic you brought in, which is?
Paula Deen.
Well,
I tell you, it's the psychodynamics of racism.
Okay.
I'd like to talk about that.
Topic,
talk about, yeah. We can talk about Paula Deen. I'm not saying Paula Deen is a racist. But
no.
That's what's in the news. People are talking about this.
This is a very current context today.
I do know she uses lots and lots of butter. Personally, I think she's been trying to kill all races. I think she's in.
She was out to kill all of us.
And she's sort of like with the butter. She's
with the
like
fried food, the butter,
she's like the Hitler
sugar,
of food, you know. But it's not. She doesn't choose one subgroup. I think there's this sort of
you were started
butter-inspired
Racist,
Holocaust.
but you've just gone.
I'm just saying, with the food that she's been pushing, I think she's a, you know.
Well, it's interesting in the context of this kind of thing. I mean, she was doing a deposition for a particular courtroom, and in that deposition, she acknowledged that she had used the N-word in the past, many years ago, and I think she was just building the context of what she was trying to answer and how she was answering a question.
Nutmeg, that would be the word,
but
right?
It got her. Yes, it got her in a lot of trouble,
nutmeg.
and as a result of that, her world has come crashing down.
A lot of things are happening.
A lot of people are very angry with her and those kind of things. So, so racism. Talk about it a little bit.
Any behavior that occurs more than once, we can assume that has some sort of utility, both for the individual, maybe even for the society in which that individual might be swimming.
Okay, so, for the individual,
whether it's the internal or external ecosystem, a reoccurring behavior has some sort of utility. I make that assumption. That's an assumption. So, what use and utility, negative or positive, does something like racism have? Why does it happen? What are its psychodynamics? You know, I think that's something to think about.
I mean, that is something that you want to explore a little bit more, because that's what you do using this psychodynamic
that's what I do.
model.
You know,
you're trying to explain.
I'm a one-trick pony. That's what I am.
You are.
Nutmeg.
So what do the psychoanalysts, does psychodynamic theory say about racism? Is this, you said, as a utility? It serves a purpose for us. In what way? And how might you explain that a little better to our viewers?
Well, I think first and foremost, I think they're against it. Psychoanalytic folks are against racism. I don't want to come out and say that. In fact, I'm taking a bold step here.
Yes.
I'm against it.
Okay.
It's a very bold step.
It's a good place to be.
I like to think that I've put myself out on a limb here by saying that you shouldn't be a racist.
Right.
Okay. Am I?
Okay.
So that was hard.
Established that.
That was tough, but I had to say that.
I'm glad you did that.
So, what they would think is, what they might say lots of things. But I think the first thing, and you know, there are some very sophisticated studies of racism and all its guises, from institutional racism, overt, covert. So there are a lot of sophisticated understanding of racism, and I'm not very sophisticated, so I can't go there.
Okay.
I'm just
you can tell us what you can.
Yeah, I can. Not a lot I can do. I'm just not a very sophisticated man. I'm not. Okay. I eat with one fork. I don't have a couple. Well, look, sophisticated people eat like with 2 or 3, right? You have like one for your salad and for your.
Yes, life can be complicated, and that's true. Even at the dinner table. However,
I don't have
you are not a complicated man.
I am not. I'm a simple man.
Simple man. Okay.
A lot of smokeless tobacco I use, but I understand that if you use smokeless tobacco products, you're salt of the earth, and that's what I aim for.
Okay, so where was the question?
Oh yeah, the thing about
the
racism.
Yeah.
Well, first off, they might go this way.
Okay.
There is something very difficult about encountering an other, right? There's something difficult about an honest, emotional connection with another because of what it does to us. I made this motion that discussed ecosystems.
Right.
They're one of my favorite dudes. I've talked about him before, this Wilfred Bion guy. Love that guy.
Yeah.
His face looks like a bug, though. Look at a picture of this guy. He's really unusual.
We may have to get one.
He has like eyebrows that looks like there's some caterpillars mating on his face.
Regardless of what he looks like,
That's
however,
what it does.
he may have some interesting things to say.
He does.
But, yeah.
What he says is that anytime two people encounter each other, there's an emotional storm.
Right.
And his idea is that there's always an affective instability that occurs in the presence of another. And so things like racism, I think, are one way to navigate that. And I think with Paula Deen, we can also think, and he might also talk about this in terms of, I think part of what makes Paula Deen interesting, and I'm a Southerner. You're a Southerner too,
yes,
right?
Absolutely.
We're both Southerners. Mm-hmm. So we grew up in a subculture within the larger culture of the United States. Am I wrong?
No.
And there's some interesting studies on Southern culture. And some people would say that we live in what's known as an honor culture. And in some ways, that is sort of a pre-Enlightenment. It's something that the North doesn't necessarily have. And that, so there is this, we are hierarchical. We used to have duels. I've had several friends of mine say, I wish we still had them. Things would be simpler if you could just duel someone, you know?
Solve a problem in that way.
There was actually an interesting research that came out of, yeah, if that were the case, I would have been shot like, I would be Swiss cheese. I would be Swiss cheese. It would just be, are you sure these lights are always on?
Yes, but
okay, maybe. There's some interesting study that came out of this Michigan State, I think, MSU. And they did this study where they set up, the students didn't know what the study was about, but as they were walking to what they thought was the study, there would be someone who would slam a door and start cursing, as if the individual may have made that person upset. And so then they went, and then they would do these cognitive tests, and they were given a questionnaire. Now, the northern students showed some initial anger, but it quickly faded. They showed minimal, it didn't affect the cognitive studies, and then after a post-exit interview, they did a number of other things, and they seemed to be fine. The students who came from the South, and by South, who had lived there for, they had to be at least from the age of 12 on, so they were Southerners,
right,
became incredibly angry, were very much focused on the event that happened. It affected their capacity to do these cognitive tests. And even post-test, when they were doing the interview, they showed agitation. So there was this notion, again, the idea that since they come from,
for quite a while,
right,
all the way through.
they were an honor culture, so there was this notion that, you know, that they had been offended and that there needed to be something to happen. Whereas in the northern culture, this was, I mean, I don't know if you ever hung out in New York City, but getting called curse words is like, you know, that's a Monday. That's what that is, you know. Kindergarten kids walk by and give you the finger. I mean, it's horrible.
All right, peaks up and then comes down.
We expect.
Okay, moving on.
So I think part of what makes this thing interesting with the Paula Deen is that, because I think what got her in trouble, she wanted to do this like this old South thing, right? She wanted to have this sort of, you know, so part of honor cultures is they're very much invested in their history. They're very much bound by that. There is a romanticizing of that sort of thing. So I think part of what makes this, you know, just from a cultural perspective, is that there is some Southern racism looks a little different based on the hierarchies that are already involved, the way in which history is invested in, and I think that in some ways,
you often refer to the South as like this is the center of racism. Everybody else is a little less racist than the South. I mean, we get that. Get that all the time.
Could be the case, but I told you earlier, I'm an e-racist. I want to make it go away, so I'm not.
You're an e-racist.
Yeah, I'm like just make it go away. I'm going to taking care of it. It's what I do. So I think that there is something about. I suspect Paula Deen was broadsided. She probably does not understand on some level that she is speaking to people who are outside of the culture in which she's based. So she is part of an institutionalized, systematized racism that she is blind to. She probably is in some ways, what are you talking about? This is not, you know.
Right.
You know, what's the old saying? I'm not racist. I have plenty of black friends. Yes. But that's sort of the old saying, you know.
Right.
Or, you know, and as an aside, well, maybe I probably should do that aside.
Okay.
So I have the capacity to filter.
That's right. Well, I'm glad you're practicing that now. We've seen it on this show several times when you were able to do that, and at times when you weren't able to do that.
I'm not often able to.
We've been able to,
do
that. But she made the statement about something that she had said. She used the N-word in the past, so that was in the context that she was delivering this the response to a question during a deposition. But just that act, just that single act of saying that she had used the word, suddenly her empire is falling apart. All of these endorsements and other things are leaving her and so forth. So,
Yeah, but
Yeah.
I think she said you used that a lot in church, which I think
I
said.
don't think that happened, actually. I don't think it.
No, I didn't have, but that would have been.
But I find that part is a little bit interesting too. This was she admitted to something 30 years ago or more, and it has this impact now, huge impact.
But
So it almost as if everything in your life you can go back to when there was an incident. It might affect you today.
luckily,
kind of
I've lived a chaste and completely error-free life. There's nothing in my past that would in any way affect.
Yeah, because I understand that now. You said you're an eraser, so you basically
I
erased
erased it.
most of your memory
yeah.
of all the things.
Whatever you
that
don't Google my name, don't do Google image, because there's some things you just can't unsee. You just don't want to. Once you see them, you can't unsee.
All right, let's change the topic just a little bit. I know
Really?
that you had a trip recently, and we had on the previous show talked.
Is this going to be about racism?
Violence.
Okay, about violence.
About violence.
Yes.
So, tell us a little bit about your experience there and what you learned from that. And kind of set up the yeah. And I know you're writing about that.
Oh yeah, we went to the thing about how to prevent school shootings.
Right.
Yeah. My thought was just don't go to school. That was the first part.
Evidently, yeah, that's one
no.
thing, but that's not
Actually,
possible. So we
no,
need
it
to
isn't.
find a solution.
Well, actually,
maybe.
we at CSU have a BART team, a behavioral response team
Okay.
that meet once a week
Okay.
or every other week, and we sort of are very careful about making sure that there are things going on out there that we can sort of bring together in a narrative that we can follow. So we are active in being able to do that. I don't know if you guys know about the BART team here on campus.
Right. So these are incidents that
Justice
may come
League.
up. Yeah, a little bit
Yes,
like
yeah.
that. Do you
I'm
have
like
capes?
the Aquaman.
I was
I'm
wondering,
like, like.
what is your outfit? But
He has a beard now, Aquaman.
Oh
Have
yeah.
you seen the
Here
new
we go.
Aquaman?
Yeah, I know. I knew somehow you'd work
Yeah.
talking about beards into this discussion. But all right. So this is a BART team and a behavioral assessment response team. I think something like that. These are incidents that may come to you, and as a team, you resolve and figure out what is the best response to help.
Most, in fact,
maintain
almost all
safety
school
and deal with
shootings
safety.
do not occur in a vacuum, and they don't just occur out of nowhere. There are often things leading up to them, and the idea is that if you have an organization that is trained to be able to know what to look for, and then you have a system out there, sort of a network, a web, that can pick up certain things, then you can silo that information, and then you can make decisions that would keep these things from happening.
Right.
And again, you have, at heart, there's an existential question here, that there are things that ultimately you can't control. But
Right. Absolutely.
in most of these instances of school shootings, there were things that happened leading up to it. And so if you have something like the BART team, you can maintain some safety.
Well,
You can
and
keep things,
in terms of prevention, you're really talking about awareness and having everybody sort of respond and be aware of what's going on in their surroundings and taking a certain course of action, maybe trying to get someone help or referring someone or talking to that person or doing those other kinds of things
you can,
before the incident.
there's prevention, intervention. There are a number of levels at which you operate. And we're actually trained on that. There are a number of instruments that you can use to sort of determine. So there are some objective and not just the gathering of data. And so, and there are, we went to a conference about this. We regularly attend conferences.
Okay.
There are organizations that sort of deal with this sort of stuff that that I'm a part of. And Chip Reese is the
Yes.
who's the head of the
Chip's
Justice
been in the
League.
studio on some other shows here. He does
Chip?
a great job here at Plymouth State.
I like that guy, but he smells like Funyuns. It just puts me off.
I'm sure he'll appreciate hearing that. But so your role on BART, what part do you play?
Mascot.
Mascot.
Actually,
Oh, that's a great answer.
it is.
Very good
No,
answer.
I'm supposed to be the voice of empathy and reason.
Oh, okay. Well, good luck with that, by
Yes.
the way. I was thinking...
We're all screwed. No.
we're
No.
we're in trouble
I'm
now.
supposed to. You're supposed to have a mental health professional on
Yes.
these things.
Oh, we're going to need more mental health professionals in the world, it seems like. That's almost job security with the way the world's going
I'm also
these
an
days,
amateur
you know?
clown, and I can do things with balloons. Have you
Okay,
seen
you can make balloon animals?
Yeah, balloon animals. It's Kama Sutra, really, is what I'm going for, but that's another show.
Oh, I guess that is. I'm glad we might need to end on that one right there, because I don't know how to recover from that.
Well, if we're doing this, I
statement,
just
but-
want to say, but before we,
Yes.
just to get back to the the racist thing really quick.
Yes, okay, so that's where we started. All right. That'll
Actually,
be a
just
nice
get back to
tie-up
Paula
on there.
Deen.
Yes.
I once saw her eat a whole stick of butter. I mean, like in seconds. I watched her unwrap it and just eat. She just ate a stick of butter.
This is something you actually, you're not making this up. You actually saw that on TV.
Well,
or something.
I saw it somewhere.
All right.
I mean, like a stick of butter. I've
Right, now
never
I don't
seen another
know how
human
to-
being
how
eat
to
a stick
believe
of butter,
what to
but she
believe
just
about
ate that stick of butter.
Well, I think they
She
let her
didn't
go
chew.
from the diabetes promotions that she was
Really?
doing there. Yeah, as
She
well
didn't
as
chew
the
it. She
people
just
who-
like swallowed it whole. I guess it's because butter is kind of you could swallow butter whole pretty easy because it
I
would
don't
go
think
down
you
really
can
easy.
Eat a stick of butter, can you?
She did. Stick of butter.
All right, I don't know about that. All right, that's I'm kind of scratching my head a little bit on this ending to the show today, but we
Just
have talked
picture
about a few.
Paula Deen eating the stick of butter. That's how we should end.
That's how we should
Should
end.
end. And I think we started cummerbund. Say the word cummerbund, and you feel better too. It's one of those feel-good words, cummerbund.
I never know where we're going to go on this show, and I guess that's part of why I
Cumber
enjoy
butter.
watching and being part of this.
Cummerbund
is,
and butter. Cumber butter.
All right.
Somebody
any
should
final,
market that.
Any final last words about your beard? Because we haven't
What?
talked enough about that. today, but,
If things go poorly, then I can't afford beard oil. I'll use butter.
all right, ladies and gentlemen, I think that about wraps it up for today. We've got therapy. This is Dan Rose, the director of the Counseling Center here at Columbus State University. I'm Michael Baltimore, Columbus State Television, and we're glad you're watching us. Tune in next time to Got Therapy, the Dan Rose Show. We'll see you then.
Cumber butter.